BBC News. Hello, I'm Jerry Smith. President Trump has lashed out at his French counterpart for his recent comments about NATO amid an acrimonious start to the alliance's 70th birthday meeting in Britain. Mr. Trump said Emmanuel Macron's remarks suggesting that NATO was suffering brain death were very dangerous and insulting. Gary O'Donoghue reports.
President Trump's tone on NATO has switched somewhat in recent days. He takes credit for persuading European leaders to spend an additional $130 billion over the past 3 years. He reinforced that new tone by saying that NATO served a great purpose, and he lashed out at the French President Emmanuel Macron, who described NATO as brain dead in a recent interview. Disrespectful, nasty, dangerous, just some of the words President Trump used to attack his French counterpart. That should make for an interesting encounter between the two men in the coming hours.
The World Meteorological Organization says average temperatures since 2010 indicate that this decade will be the hottest on record. In a report presented at the UN climate talks in Madrid, scientists said global temperatures this year were 1.1 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average, putting 2019 in line to be among the 3 warmest years ever recorded. The catamaran carrying the teenage climate activist Greta Thunberg to the Madrid Climate Conference has arrived in the Portuguese capital, Lisbon. She refuses to fly to avoid carbon emissions. Zimbabwe's late President Robert Mugabe has left no will naming who's to benefit from his remaining fortune. Shingai Nyoko reports.
Save for the $10 million in the bank, Robert Mugabe appears to have left a modest inheritance, 7 properties and 10 cars, according to the state media. The registered estate does not list the farms allegedly acquired during the takeover of white-owned farms. A sprawling dairy business is also excluded. For decades, speculation swirled about Mr. Mugabe's wealth. The rumours about a castle in Scotland, a $1 million property in Asia. But the biggest surprise in this latest development is he appears not to have left a will.
The Chinese video-sharing app TikTok has been hit with a class-action lawsuit in the US, accusing it of illegally transferring vast quantities of user data to China. Here's Karishma Vaswani.
The plaintiff has been named as Misty Hong, a US student. The court documents allege that TikTok transferred data from users in the US to servers in China. It goes on to claim that Ms. Hong never even created an account with TikTok, but that she believes her data was captured by the app and that it's been compromised. The lawsuit also alleges that TikTok took content from its users without permission. TikTok has previously said it doesn't store any data in China. Instead, it sends its data to servers in the US, and that's backed up in Singapore.
World news from the BBC. The head of a European parliamentary delegation visiting Malta has said that trust between the European Union and the Maltese government has been very seriously damaged. Sophie in 't Veld was speaking after meeting Prime Minister Joseph Muscat, whose administration has been in turmoil over the investigation into the murder of the journalist Daphne Caruana Galizia. Ms. in 't Veld said she believed Mr. Muscat had made serious errors of judgment, including by deciding to stay in office till his Labour Party had chosen a new leader. The family of a Pakistani property tycoon has agreed to hand over cash and assets worth nearly $250 million to British investigators. It comes after British bank accounts linked to Malik Riaz Hussain were frozen on the grounds that the cash might have been the proceeds of crime. He denies wrongdoing. Here's our Islamabad correspondent, Sikandar Kamani.
Malik Riaz Hussain is one of Pakistan's richest and best-known businessmen. He and his family own large housing schemes in cities across the country. He's agreed to pay nearly $250 million in a settlement after a number of British bank accounts linked to his family were frozen by the authorities there. In a statement, Britain's National Crime Agency said all the assets will be returned to the Pakistani state.
The Iranian authorities have acknowledged that the security forces did resort to what they called tough confrontation in their response to recent protests. A report on state television said that a number of protesters, described as rioters, were killed, but it accused the foreign media of exaggerating the number of victims. Tens of thousands of animals, ranging from rats to chickens, pigs and buffaloes, are being slaughtered at a Hindu festival in Nepal in what's said to be the world's biggest animal sacrifice. The killings at the 5-yearly Good Himai festival are happening despite mounting concern about animal welfare. BBC News.